Welcome to the Digital Dalmatian 5-year budget template tutorial. First, want to say we're super excited for you and thankful that you have supported our family business. This template has been extremely helpful and beneficial for us, as well as dozens of others, and we know it's going to be helpful for you as well. And the purpose of this video is to simply walk through step by step and show you exactly what this template can do, how you can use this template, and we've designed it specifically to be as easy to use as possible and highlight a couple other features that may not be super obvious. So first things first, in order to actually access this template, what you want to do is once you've purchased, you will receive a PDF file. That PDF file will have a link in it. Go ahead and click on that link first, okay? Then what it's going to do is open up your Google Sheets. So if you don't have a Google account already, simply create one. It's 100% free. So for example, let's say your name is Doug. You could create a Gmail account, doug12345@gmail.com. And once you do that, you'll be able to access this sheet. So most of you will likely already have a Google account. If not, it's free to create. So go ahead and set one up and then click on that link in the PDF that you downloaded. Once you do that, you'll get to a section that should look something like this. You may have to click one more button after clicking the link to give access from this template into your account, but then you should get here in just 1 or 2 clicks. And once that happens, scroll down here. If you see the words view only in the top left corner of your screen, so it looks something like this with this green, view only. If it says that, then what you want to do is head up to file in the top left corner, click on it, scroll down to where it says make a copy and go ahead and click on make a copy. Because with certain accounts, you'll get this and it's not a problem at all. It's just one simple little kind of additional step. And with view only, basically you can see all of the information, but you're not able to edit. And obviously it's not really helpful to you if you can't edit the template. Now, as you can see here, we don't have that sign. It's kind of normal. We have nothing that says view only. So if that's the case, you're good to go. You can make a copy if you want, but really I wouldn't recommend it because it'll just kind of make things messy. So just leave things as is. And as you can see at the very bottom of the screen, there are a variety of different sheets and we've numbered them in order of the way that you should kind of move through the sheet. So we have number 1, start here. So sheet number 1 is written instructions on how to use. Also, we're going to include the link here of the video training for reference back in the Google Sheet. So you can get back to this video at any time here in your Google Sheet. Or if you prefer instead just to kind of quickly read through, you can do that as well. We have all of the instructions here on the first page. As you can see, step by step, all in order. Okay. So that's kind of step 1. Step number 2, right here in sheet number 2, we have the table of content. So here you can just quickly access, again, the training videos, instructions, any of the other tools and inputs that we have here, as well as the charts are all here in case you want to go directly to a specific sheet. It's just a way of making it a little bit easier, a little bit faster. Now, actually kind of getting into the meat of using the tool. First place we're going to start is in sheet number 3, the budget breakdown. So in this sheet, there's a few things to do. So number 1, very, very important, make sure that you input the current year, okay? So let's say the current year is 2023, okay? Then we put in 2023 here and then hit enter and there we go, it's done. So again, I just go to the cell, I can double click. So now I can kind of edit. I'm gonna delete this and I can put in whatever I want. So again, 2023. And once I've done that, I hit enter and there we go. And once you've entered in the year, what you'll do first here under debt payments, you're gonna enter in any debts that you have. And obviously here in this tutorial, I'm simply just gonna use some examples. If you don't have any car payments, credit card payments, medical debt, student loan debt, or any other debt, then what you can do here is simply put in $0, okay? So you just go to the cell and you can put in any value. So in this case, I'm highlighting over the cell. I'm simply gonna click 0 and put $0. Let's say it's 30,000. Okay, then I'm gonna put 30, 1, 2, 3, just like that, 30,000, hit enter again. There we go, and it automatically updates. So in this case, let's say this hypothetical example, I have a $30,000 car payment. So I would put $30,000 here under total amount due because this is how much money is due for that debt. And the next column, we have months left to pay. So how many months do you have left to pay off this debt? Either that you want to or that you kind of have to, right? So either one, that's what you're gonna put in here. It doesn't really matter, it's up to you. In this case, let's say I have 60 months left to pay off this $30,000 debt. Okay, so I would input here 60 months. And again, remember, this is in months. So we have, as you can see, the header of debt payments. Enter your total amount due for each debt here on the left. So you put total amount due for each of these debts. And then also in this column, you're going to put how many months are left to pay. So again, we have a car payment. Car payment is $30,000. We have 60 months left to pay that $30,000. And then here, again, this is not for you to edit. This is just to automatically generate for you. And there's multiple kind of automatic calculations, and some of the hard work is done for you, especially later on. We have a monthly payment amount of $500. So basically this budget breakdown is kind of giving us an estimate of, hey, if you have, X amount of debt and you have, this much time to pay, well, then this is what your monthly payment should be. So in this case, because we have 60 months to pay off $30,000, what this tool is recommending is that we should allocate at least $500 per month to budget toward paying off that debt. Okay, so that's simply what this sheet does. So very, very important. Make sure that you fill in these two columns. And again, if you have no debt, then you just put 0 for both of these. 0 months left to pay, 0. When you download your template, everything will automatically be 0. So there's not going to be all of this kind of messy numbers in here. This is just for an example. Next, aside from debts, we also have life goals. So let's say that you want to save up for something. Maybe it's a home renovation project, a new car, okay, a new house, vacation, wedding, or really anything else. You can go ahead and use this to kind of help you budget for those life goals. Okay, so again, this is a little bit separate from debt, of course. So in this case, let's say, hey, I want to go on a decent vacation, and I'm going to allocate $3,000 toward that vacation. So I put $3,000 here, and let's say I want to take it at the end of this year. Let's say it's the new year, and by the end of the year, I definitely want to have this money saved up to take that vacation. So I'm going to give this goal 10 months. So in 10 months, I want to have $3,000 saved for my vacation. So what does the tool tell us? It tells us that we need to allocate, or should allocate, $300 per month budgeted toward this goal. So maybe, every month I set aside $300 into my bank account, or I pull it out or whatever and keep it safe and set it aside for that vacation that I have. So again, really simple. You're just going to, here in this sheet, input your debt payments, input any life goals that you have. And again, if there's not really any major life goals you have right now, no big debt payments, then you can leave this blank and simply just put in the year and you're good to go. And again, this is probably the part that'll take the longest. It'll get much faster as we move into the next sheets. So once you've done that here in number 3, we move on to number 4. Number 4 is an optional step. This is sort of a standalone calculator. And the purpose of this sheet is just to quickly get an idea of how much money you can expect at the end of any given month. So this is just more for kind of like hypothetical, more for planning. You do not have to fill this out. It's not really connected to any of the charts that you'll see later. So what you can do is really quickly input your income, your expenses, retirement contributions, and then you're left with your monthly budget, or basically the leftover amount after everything. So we put in our income, let's say it's $5,000 per month. Again, monthly income, $5,000. Again, only editing these highlighted cells as you see here and not touching these kind of white ones over here or anything else. So just editing here. So under income, $5,000 per month. Under expenses, let's say for auto insurance, we have $140. For our gym membership is $40 a month. Our health insurance is $625 a month. Life insurance is $25, and so on. And you can just kind of see as we go down. So we have income minus expenses, then minus any retirement contributions. So if you have any money going toward retirement, which I would definitely recommend, then you'll input that here, and then you're left with total. Basically income minus expenses minus retirement contributions. That's what you're left with. Just as a really quick snapshot. Next, moving to number 5, we get to the income section. So here, you're going to input your income each month. So again, for this sheet here, income, followed by the next expenses, followed by monthly budgeting, and then lastly, retirement. We'll go back to income. These 4 sheets you're going to input every month. So just once every month, and I'd recommend doing this at the end of the month. You're gonna update these sheets. So in this case, at the end of, let's say it's January of 2023, like we mentioned before. So we go to income, it's January of 2023. Here we have the income source. So we have paychecks, any bonuses if you receive bonus, any income that you generate from freelancing or consulting. If you have rental properties and you get rental cash flow, any other side businesses, maybe a tax refund. So in many cases, all of these might be 0, and that's totally fine. This is just here for you in case you have this. So here under paycheck, whatever your paycheck amount is, go ahead and input that here under amount. Again, only focusing on the highlighted cells here. So in this case, for January of, as you see, we have 2023, January, we made $7,000 from our paycheck, $0 in bonuses, and let's say we made $200 from maybe some freelancing work or some consulting work. So that's what we kind of made in January. Then you're done. That's it. So that's that simple. At the end of every month, first go to income, put in your income, you're good. And then you'll do so in the next month in February, do the same thing. In March, April, May, and so on. Obviously, there might be some changes as the months go on. It could be very, very similar from month to month, but that's it. So it really takes literally just a few seconds. Next, we're gonna head to expenses. Same idea here. At the end of every month, input your total expenses. But what's really great here is you're not just kind of putting in all of your expenses in one lump sum. All of your expenses are broken out, and you can actually see where everything is going and actually have a chart here later on that is going to show you the total breakdown in a much more aesthetic way. So again, let's say it's the end of the month, January of 2023. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start here with fixed expenses. Next, we're gonna go to variable expenses, move down to debt payments, and then here to other expenses if we have any, okay? And then as you can see here, just as a side note, so there are 5 years on each of these templates. So obviously, let's say this is year one, right? 2023 is year one, just for our example. Moving down next, year number 2 is 2024. And watch, if we just scroll down the sheet, we move here to 2025, scroll down again to 2026, and so on, okay, 2027. And it's all there. So that's how you can just access the other years, is just simply by scrolling down. January, at the end of the year, we're gonna put in all of our fixed expenses. So you can see all of the expenses are listed right here, so you don't have to guess. And if any of these expenses are 0, let's say, hey, I don't have any kids, so then therefore I would put 0 here. Or let's say I'm paying $750 a month for childcare, then I would go ahead and input that here. So look at the expense on the left hand, and then you'll input the amount on the right hand in the highlighted cells as usual, right? So for January, we go ahead and we fill out our fixed expenses. Next, we fill out our variable expenses. Moving down, we fill out our debt payments. And then finally, our other expenses. So January, we do January. For February, then we fill in for February, March, and so on. Okay, it takes a little bit of time, but is very, very worth it and is going to be so helpful, I promise you. And next, moving from expenses, we head on over to monthly budgeting. So here in the monthly budgeting sheet, you will fill this in if there are any life goals that you are saving up for or that you are budgeting for. So again, remember back, I'll just quickly scroll down here. Remember our budget breakdown where we input college fund, new car, vacations, things like that? Well, this sheet again was just giving you a recommendation for how much you should be allocating. Here in the monthly budgeting sheet, you're gonna actually put in any amount that you are actually setting aside for that month. So let's say, in the month of January, you set aside $300 for a vacation. So let's say maybe you put this into a separate account, maybe you withdrew in cash and you're kind of putting it in an envelope somewhere safe. So if you've budgeted anything, go ahead and input. Now, if you aren't budgeting for anything that is listed here, or you don't have anything additional that you're budgeting for, you can simply skip over this step. Otherwise, again, fill this in at the end of every month, just like everything else. And this is the last kind of step that you'll do at the end of each month, is you're going to input any retirement contributions. So any money that you're either saving or even better, that you're investing toward your retirement, you would input that amount here. So for this year, for January, we invested $1,400 into our, Roth IRA or into our, savings account or whatever it looks like. Then go ahead and put in $1,400 just to show you. I'll put 0 and then go back. I'm going to hover over and just simply type 1400 for 1,400, hit enter. There we go. So we've set aside $1,400 toward our retirement for January of 2023. As you can see, we've set aside the exact same amount in this example for all 5 years every month. But again, certain months may change. So just simply, really quickly, takes literally just seconds, input how much you've put toward retirement. And then moving forward, we move to sheet number 9, which is the breakdown table. So this essentially shows you your total income, total expenses, total amount that you budgeted, retirement, and any amount that's kind of remaining for each month of each year. So just a nice way of kind of summarizing all of the data that you've already put in. So this could be helpful for, a tax person, or it could be helpful for you. And we all like to look at data differently. So if you're more analytical, you really like to dive in a little bit more into the data, then you can use it as such. So it's a helpful tool for yourself to kind of go through, analyze, compare your income versus your expenses, what you're allocating toward retirement, all of that sort of thing. So that's this sheet. Moving forward, sheet number 10, which is the financial dashboard. Basically what we've done is we've tried to highlight the most important information. So some other sheets or templates out there are really great. However, they're really, really overwhelming and they just show you a ton of data that doesn't matter. So what we're trying to do is share with you the most important data. So first, we have the total expense breakdown, and this is again by year. So you see here in the top, we have the year 2023. If we scroll down on the sheet like I did before, now we get to the data for 2024, right? Scroll down to 2025. So we have all the data nice and beautifully and automatically generated based on our inputs for each year. And for each year, here's what we can see. So number one is our total expense breakdown. So we can see what are our biggest expenses. So in this case, I can hover over, or I can actually just click once into the graph. And then once I do that, I can actually kind of hover over each piece of this pie or of this donut. So for this example, let's look at this really quickly. What is the biggest piece of this donut? As we can quickly see, it is mortgage and rent, which it is. It makes up about almost 26% of our total expenses for 2023. Now, obviously, being able to kind of adjust your rent or your mortgage may be a little bit more difficult depending on your life stage and all of that. Let's look at our other bigger expenses. Okay, then we kind of look over here. Man, childcare is actually pretty expensive. Are there ways that we can potentially reduce that? What else do we have? We have health insurance, right? Another example. We go over here to tithing, right? Do we want to reduce the amount of tithe or money that we're putting toward charity or not, right? And you can just kind of quickly go through, start with the biggest chunks, and then start moving down toward the smaller chunks. And then basically you're identifying, expenses that you can reduce. So that's the purpose of this. Then we have another similar chart. It just visualized a little bit differently. And that is our monthly expense breakdown. So this is total for the year. Then we can actually see per month. So in this example, right, we have pretty much the exact same expenses. Our rent, is obviously going to be the same all year round, as we can see here in each kind of little bar of this graph. Move up here, here's our tithing, right there at the top. We have our car payments, right, and so on. So of course, some of these are going to be consistent every single month, but it'll be interesting to see that certain other ones may be much higher or much lower depending on the month. And again, the purpose of this is number one, you can sort of see how expenses are changing over time. Overall, are they getting smaller? Or are they getting bigger? Are certain expenses getting smaller or bigger over time as well? Maybe you're adding in new expenses, getting rid of old expenses. So it helps you to sort of track your progress, but then also sort of pinpoint and see, we were living fine without X, Y, and Z expense before, in these months. And then we start incurring them in these months, maybe let's get rid of those. Okay, so again, sort of tracking your expenses and then also potentially reducing unnecessary expenses. That's sort of the purpose of these two. Scrolling down, we can see our total income breakdown. And again, I can just take one click, there we go. I can hover over each piece of the donut. So we see about 77% of our total income went toward expenses. About 3.3% went toward our life goals, or that amount that we budgeted. About 18.7% went toward our retirement. Less than 1% actually remaining from our income that hasn't been, invested, it hasn't been gone toward expenses, it hasn't been budgeted, it's just kind of sitting there in our account. That's your total income breakdown to see where is your income, that money that you're bringing in, where is it going? That's the purpose of this. Next, moving to the right, we have our income versus expenses line graph. This is going to track your total expenses versus your total income over the year. So again, if we scroll back up, we're here in the year 2023, scroll back down. So this is for 2023. And the purpose of this line graph, basically how you want to interpret this data, if your expenses are in a good position, if your income's in a good position, then you maybe want to see these staying relatively the same, or obviously if your income goes up, that's also a good thing. Now, if you're in a position where you've realized our expenses are just kind of crazy, they're kind of out of control, then really what you want to see here is your total expenses decreasing in this graph. Okay, so again, it depends on your life goals and your current position. That's what you're going to kind of interpret this data. However, in general, right, you really want to see your income going up while your expenses are going down, right? That's kind of the ultimate goal, or at the very least staying the same. And then finally, our last kind of helpful chart here is our investment health. So this is essentially a very general but very good rule for tracking our investing toward retirement. Okay, so what you can do is hover over the title here, and here it just kind of describes what this gauge does. But if we scroll down, we can actually see the chart. So again, this is a very general rule. However, it's better to give you some good information than give you no information and not be helpful at all. So if your score is 0 to 10, maybe look toward improving your retirement contribution. So basically that means if you're in this category from 0 to 10, consider increasing the amount of money that you're putting toward your retirement, of course, if possible. Next, still consider increasing maybe a little bit, but it doesn't need to be as drastic if you're here in this first section. But if you have a score between 11 to 19, that's okay. But really where you want to be, and this is a really good position to be in, is to have a score of 20 or more. So if you have a score of 21, 30, 40 even, that'd be crazy. That's amazing, right? So 20 or more, that is your goal. We're gonna scroll back up. So that is the financial dashboard, and we're almost done, guys, I promise. Hope you guys are finding this valuable. We move here to sheet number 11, which is the goal tracker, right? This is gonna help us track how we're doing in paying for our debts, as well as budgeting for our life goals and some of those, things that we want. So first here we have debt. So debt is kind of in orange. Again, if you don't have any debts, let's say we don't have any credit card debt, we have no medical debt, and we have no other kinds of debt, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna see NA, which stands for non-applicable. So you don't have to worry about that. So if you have no debts whatsoever, then all of these will just say NA, and you can just basically ignore it. Otherwise, if you do have debts, and again, we're gonna go back here really quickly to sheet number 3, budget breakdown. Remember here, we said that we have $30,000 for our car payment, $40,000 for our student loan. Okay, well, that's reflected, if we go back one more time, this is the last time I'll do it, here, right? So we have $30,000 for car payment, right? And so on for the student loan. And based on the input or the data that we've entered, right? And how much we've been paying off, in this case, we can see for this sample, our car debt's paid off. Awesome, we're 100% of the way there. That means 100% of our debt is paid off. Great. For student loan, we're about 60% of the way there. So that's awesome. So it just kind of helps you track how close you are to paying off each of these debts. Then moving down, we have our life goals. And then very last, this is the last of the last, little bonus that we wanted for you are 4 life-changing financial and investment books. Included a link to each, so you can quickly get these on either on Amazon or Audible. So that concludes this tutorial. I hope you found it valuable. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at info@digitaldalmatian.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. As always, again, thank you so much for your support. We're so excited for you. And please be sure to keep us posted on your life and your financial goals. I know you're going to crush it.